You don't need to be other than you are right now. I just wanted you to listen. I was
just
really
want me to
sensitive to
listen.
you not listening
Yeah, you
in that
felt
moment.
neglected.
Yeah, I felt like that you disconnected.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you felt that. I was like adjusting. There's a lot of things happening right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm listening now.
Okay, cool. I see them questioning if I may be so bold.
A podcast about relationships. I'm Dan Epstein. I'm a recording artist, singer, relational coach. I'm a heavy-duty Virgo.
I'm Justin Waring Crane, model, actress, singer, dancer, mathematician.
We're going to go into the 4th season of this podcast. I do these sort of weird inner dialogues with myself, with parts of myself about the podcast where I have this big insecurity come up that people are going to think that we think we're a comedy podcast.
Say more, yeah.
I have this sort of like shit talker in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like what I imagine like maybe like a hater would say.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, it just gets very like, I get like so twisty about it because I'm like, oh my God, Justin, like you're so fucking self-important and self-centered that you even think that enough people would listen to this that you would have a single hater. It's just like it's so bad.
That also seems harsh.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole thing. It's like extremely harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's a big one that comes up is like, I shouldn't try to be funny on this podcast because it's not a comedy podcast. I don't know what that insecurity is. It's like, I imagine like some heckler or hater being like, God, like this podcast sucks. And like, are they trying to be funny? Because they're fucking not.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like we both are moving in a direction where we want to get to a place where, like, we don't know what's happening. Like, we don't know if it's funny or not. And, like, because we're just doing it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a desire. This is how I feel like when I make music too. Like, just there's a desire that the end result be like within the scope of something that would be like of your taste that you would find like cool and interesting. But then like you're watching yourself.
We would want to make something that we would like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But like trying to control, like trying to like a little bit force, I guess, some like how you might imagine it would be in your head, like a good version of it, you know, and then it's like you're not even really like present for it.
Yeah. I guess, I go down these paths where I'm like, who the fuck even cares about this?
Yeah.
Who would ever listen to something like so boring? You know? Wow. It's really harsh.
Yeah.
It's really, really harsh. So I'm just naming that, and I just want to make space for that instead of trying to like shut that voice up. Like that's a part
I think that's
of
good.
me that's like maybe needs a little attention.
Yeah. I had one of our TikToks come up because someone commented on it recently, like one that we posted a long time ago, and I didn't even watch it, but I was immediately just like, oh, like are we really doing that? You know, like I was just like, oh, I mean, it was also harsh, but I was also kind of like, I don't know, anything that I feel like I don't know. It's kind of a trap. I feel like anything that I'm doing where I'm like, I'm doing this because people of our ilk like have said that this is a good idea to do this, you know, and then I feel like super like confused about and like and I am worried about what people think, which I don't like. You know, I want like ideally, of course, I'm like I literally don't care, but I am like I also kind of find this TikTok boring.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Totally. I think that's like what I want for this season is like to do what feels good to us. And to me, this season and this podcast will be a success in my mind if we have fun while we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like this has been the goal always. We're just like each season, our relationship's different. The podcast we've been through more like sort of wars with it. Your inner haters like, how dare you even say we've been through wars?
Is it? No, I don't think so. Is that what yours
No,
is?
I feel stupid.
Is that what yours does?
No, I mean fucking shit. Mine. What does mine say? Mine mainly is like I'm pretty like when I listen, when I edit them, when I listen to you, I'm like good. You know, when I listen to me, I'm like sometimes I'm like good, but sometimes I'm like, God, I'm really like insecure. Or like I'm like I can just hear like the fear of I don't know coming across a certain way and how like I can feel like it sounds like a constricted version of myself, which is painful. Not fun.
Isn't that
to
wild
listen
that
to.
that happens even though literally this is not real yet? Like this is being recorded, but nothing like it could
Yeah,
zero could happen with it. You know, it's like
right.
and everything could be changed and edited and like deleted.
Totally.
But like it feels like people are hearing it right now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, that is how it feels, and it's like again, it's like with music where I feel like like you actually are being an artist when you really have given up control of like knowing like this might of like that this is going to be one I'll put out. You know what I mean in the moment because you're just like doing it and kind of living it. And I think there is some application to this of like. Yeah, we will edit it, so we may as well go crazy.
Yeah.
I always am so like, there was some quote going around about Bradley Cooper, that Bradley Cooper said about when he did Wedding Crashers that like he couldn't believe that Vince Vaughn would just try so much shit and some of it was so embarrassing.
Yeah,
like some
yeah,
of it was
yeah.
so bad, but he was like, that's amazing.
God, I love that.
Yeah, because he was at the point, he had done it so much and realized like how that would serve him that like if he tried enough just like whatever like and would make a fool of himself in front of this whole crew that like
There's
some
gold
of
in
it
there.
would be fucking amazing.
There's gold in there, babe.
And I just think that's so scary.
Yeah, that's so scary and so brave and so hot too.
Really?
Like that's really hot. That's
Yeah.
really hot because it just feels so confident to me. Even if you're really scared in doing it, but you do try it anyway, like that's like unbelievable. That's like just so like people like that are radiant to me. I really like aspire to be more like that.
Yeah.
But speaking of radiance, I do feel radiant right
Go
now.
on. Yeah, say why.
I I just feel so good about the way that I just feel my growth right now. I feel how powerful I'm becoming and how I'm showing up for relationships in the way that I want to show up in the way that feels authentic to me. And that includes like having conflict with friends and feeling like so alive inside the conflict. And I was like sobbing last night in group therapy. And the thing that was making me cry was like how proud I was of myself and that everyone else there like could see the growth, that I was like in conflict with a friend and that it wasn't like destroying me.
Yeah, it feels like what you're describing. Did I cut off your?
No,
were you
no.
about to get somewhere? I feel like what you're describing is like you're actually in the arena.
Yes,
now
I
of life.
feel in the arena. I'm in the arena. It's fucking great. Even when it's bad, it's good. If you're actually in the arena, like even when it's really scary and uncomfortable, it's so much better in here than being afraid, not wanting to stir the pot, not wanting to say the thing.
Yeah, making decisions that are like counter to actually what you want. And
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I even received a comment from someone that
in group.
No, not in group. Not in group. From someone in my life who was like telling me that you and I talk about healing and recovery and like relationships and dynamics like too much. And it's exhausting to hear about. And the funny thing is I'm actually kind of like tired myself of talking about those things.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually seeking out relationships where it's like more like playful and lighter.
Yeah.
But the thing is like you can't really have a good relationship with someone if you aren't also talking about like the deeper stuff and able to have like an honest like dialogue about that shit. So it was just like, I think then coming into this podcast, I'm like, I just don't want to be like talking only about relationships and therapy and like, it's like everyone's bogged down with that. Like everyone's like fucking sick of,
right.
like therapy Instagram, like it's just like so boring by this
Yeah.
point. It's like we now
Yes.
kind of like know everything. Not that
Yeah.
we know everything, but like I've really read so many fucking books and
Yeah.
so many things
Yeah.
about relationships and about trauma and about therapy that
Right.
I'm kind of like I'm definitely going to continue taking in information, but it's not the only thing that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's actually like kind of boring to me now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's I think was
Yeah.
contributing to the insecurity of recording the podcast is
Yeah.
like knowing that person thinks it's like
Right.
exhausting and like hates the vibe, you know, is like, okay, good to know. And yeah, where am I going with this? It just contributes to the insecurity of like,
Yeah.
nobody wants this.
Right.
You know?
Right. And what do you think you actually believe about it?
Well,
The vibe.
when that person said that to me, I was like, well, that's like the stuff that I love. Like,
Mhm.
I love talking about like dynamics and
Mhm.
relationships. And like,
Yeah.
that's like really like interesting to me and fun.
Yeah.
It's like not the only thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
There's clearly a judgment, of course,
yes.
that's coming from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it never feels good to have someone express a judgment that's about you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of just trying to find like my anchors of like,
Yeah.
like imagine someone's out there not liking me, but I'm like just in my room listening to Cersei for like the 638th time. You know? Like in that I'm saying like imagine me like being okay with people not liking me.
Mhm.
You know? That feels like very powerful.
It feels important.
Yeah. So like a mantra I'm working with or I'm having right now is I'm okay with you feeling that way. I love that one. That one
I know
feels really fucking
that's
spicy.
a real like theme coming up in my family. What's interesting because I feel like I've like stepped out of the arena of my family, but into more of like the arena of other stuff. A couple things came to mind when you were talking, but like one of them is just like, yeah, like there's such a desire in when you are a people pleaser and you like are surrounded by people pleasers or codependent people, you know, to be in consensus like all the time with like be in agreement, like seeing things the same way. And that like, yeah, there is like something nice and powerful and like adult about just being like, I hear that. Okay. You like, you feel that way. Got it. You know, moving on kind of energy.
I love you know, what's so powerful saying, I see it really differently. Moving on.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you have to fucking say. You know? Not everything has to be like this huge conflict.
Right.
You know?
Right. The other thing I was thinking about was, you know, in ACA, they say like it's a program based on action. And it's like, as opposed to like talking about everything like really like, ooh, that's interesting. That makes me think of this,
Ew,
you know, like to death, you know, like it reminds me of we've done this so much, like reminds me of this idea or this thing that I've read. It's like more about just like action. And like being in your body and like what's happening right now.
Yeah. How can we bring that energy into the pod? Because I'm sick of, one, you know this, I've completely X'd the word interesting from my vocabulary because it literally means nothing. I don't want to just talk about ideas. I don't want to just talk and I don't want to just talk about talking. So I think like it would be cool if we did something each week, you know, that we would want to tell each other, but we don't tell each other till like we're on the pod. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even if it's small. For example, this is something that happened a long time ago, but I'll just use this as an example. Something that I did the last time I got my hair cut was when the girl was washing my hair. She was using like pretty warm water. And I can't remember if I told you this about you this. Okay, well, really again. But I'm telling the people listening on the other end, if there's is anyone out there? That I was actually sweating under that freaking cape. And I was like, actually, like, could you use cold water to wash my hair? And she was like, yeah, like, of course. She was like, I'm sweating. I'm hot too. You know, she was just like using warm water because like she probably thought I wanted that.
Right.
And it felt so amazing. Like the physical sensation of like cold water on my head and on my neck felt amazing, but also just felt amazing to be like, I'm going to just ask for this like one little thing that's going to make me a little more comfortable. And it felt so good.
Yeah.
So
but the old you would have said like, no, it's fine because I don't want to like cause any problems.
totally,
Like,
I don't.
like
I
any
don't want to. I don't want to like cause any kind of inconvenience to anyone
Right,
else or
right.
make anyone feel like they did something wrong.
That is like that incredibly insane thing I noticed I was doing with my back issues that have kept me from pickleball court for several months, where I've seen a lot of different practitioners to try and help with this issue. And for a while, none of them were able to help it. I think I've finally found an acupuncturist who has a plan for me. But like, I found myself in like,
Rick.
multiple times there being in the situation where like I would receive a treatment from whoever, like chiropractor, acupuncturist, physical therapist, physio, like all these different people, and they would do something and they'd be like, okay, now walk around, like how does the back pain feel? And it felt just as bad, but I was like, I can't say that.
Oh,
You know,
no.
I can't say like it's literally just as bad, like nothing yet that didn't help.
No.
So I would say like, yeah, you know, like that type of people pleasing is really deep in me of like, yeah, no, like, yeah, no, a little better,
No.
little better. Or like,
that sucks. I mean, think of like an extreme
I'm paying
example of
them.
that. You're paying them. Also, think of like a more extreme example where like if you told a lie, you'd literally die. You know, like you're like on the fucking
Well,
like
what? Yeah, no.
you know?
I mean, there's another type of example where it's like the pain, like going away, might be a sign that like you don't have cancer or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you just like out of people pleasing, you're like,
Right.
no, the pain is going away,
Right.
and then you're like,
Right.
they don't have the information they
I'm
need to
sure,
treat you.
I'm sure so many people have died that way. You know, it's fucked up.
But I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what am I wondering? Like that this person's gonna be like, oh no, like this thing I did, like it didn't work.
I know. It's like literally they're asking for feedback. That's a disease for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I will say that has nothing to do with anything that's been said yet, except for maybe this is not a comedy podcast, but my dad said that he accidentally listened to it sped up,
Right.
and he said it was really funny that that because we sounded like a lot like quicker, because you know,
Yeah,
that he was like laughing more,
like actually smart, like actually good timing.
He didn't say it in a mean way, of course. But you actually sent me a text about my dad this morning that I loved, that I still don't know why you sent it to me, so we're going to talk about it now. But you out of the blue texted me. It said, "What do you think your dad hates most in the world?" Which I loved. I love that you asked that.
Why do you love it? Because you love your dad.
I love my dad, but also like that's such a specific question to ask someone. And it's like, and it made me think about it, which I loved. So I'm like, no, let me think about what my dad hates most. Okay, is this I didn't know if you were asking sincerely or jokey. So I was like, asked if it was like a joke or earnest, and you said both, kind of, right?
I was interested in both answers.
But I said, you know, violence towards children. He like cannot tolerate that. But then you kind of had a funny response where you were like, I agree that that's bad.
I was joking.
Oh.
That was a bit.
But why did you ask me that?
I was listening to this Paul McCartney podcast where each episode he talks about one of his songs and like how the lyrics came to be, basically. And this is funny. I mean, your dad, one thing that's nice for me and my ego is like when I recommend something to him, he actually will check it out, you know, which like makes me feel good. But I recommended him this podcast. It's called like The History of Rock and Roll, told through like 300 rock songs or something, 300 songs, by this guy Andrew Hickey, who's just like the most knowledgeable like music historian. and I've listened to like 3 episodes of it, and your dad has now like listened to so much of it, and he's always like telling me about it, and it's nice. I'm curious about it. It's just like I have other podcasts that are like more sort of like connecting to like what's going on for my music stuff that I listen to. But like, so I was listening to that Paul McCartney one, and I was like, oh, like I should tell Ken about this podcast. But then I was like, it'd be funny if like your dad just hated the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
You know, it'd be so like off brand for him to like have a really strong stance against something that's so like, I don't know, that's really good and that like everyone loves.
Yeah. I'm sure he does have stances like that about things. Which it's funny you bring up the Beatles just because our friend Becca's mom hates the Beatles.
Hates them.
And we love that.
Yeah. I know. I couldn't remember. The first time I heard that, I thought it was so funny. And then a while later, I brought it up to her. She's like a redheaded lady from Chicago.
Yeah, she has kind of a scratchy voice where we're like, heard you hate the Beatles. She was like, I hate them.
That's a pretty good impression.
Oh, yeah, I can't stand them.
Hate them.
Yeah. I hate them. Her voice is kind of chalky or something.
Definitely.
That's actually a perfect segue to the new joke that I've been trying out with you, which is, oh my God, I just wrote a song. Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you, what do you hate most in the world?
Oh man, what comes to mind? I feel like a lot of the things I end up ranting about are things that people do, but they just, like we were talking about this the other night, things that people do where it's almost like they lose all meaning. It's just because they've heard other people say them and they're like are participating in that, which is very Enneagram 4 about that. We were talking about that with when people are like, you want to say it?
No, I'm going to set you up for it, babe. Okay, when it rains,
when
of
it
course,
rains in LA,
you know what people say.
You know what people say. Everyone says, oh, no one knows how to drive in LA in the rain. Like, everyone freaks out. It's like, I've heard that so many times, and maybe it makes me feel good to be like, I'm not just gonna say something because other people say it, even though I of course do that.
Of course we do that.
But like, it is just one of those things where it's like I don't know, like, yeah, I'm sure there's some truth to that, but it's not like this, like, oh my, I mean, granted, I haven't lived other places except the Bay and Atlanta, but like, it just strikes me, it just rings false to me that like, oh yeah, and like Pittsburgh, like everyone's like really solid, like compared to here at driving. Like it takes like it takes a lot to drive in LA,
it does. You got to be hot.
Anyways. Yeah, you got to be hot.
Anything you want to ask me, babe?
Oh, you're satisfied with my answer?
What do you mean?
What do I hate most in the world?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're trying to satisfy me?
Well, I just felt like my perfectionist was like, I have, like, okay, there's that, but surely I have to think of something better.
Oh, yeah. I know. I was like, well, what do I hate most in the world? Like, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to say like racism or like, like transphobia, but I'm like, okay, yeah, of course I fucking hate that stuff. It's like maybe that can go without saying, and maybe there's like something else that like I mean, really
I think I hate denial.
Yeah.
Like as much as most things.
Yeah.
For sure. And like denial, but like it's a certain type of denial. I've been thinking about it a lot through the lens of like intergenerational like shit people pass down to their kids that they haven't looked at,
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
And so I find myself having a lot of contempt for people who, it's like almost like you're not respecting how hard it is to do right by people or something. Like how much it takes of you like really like facing yourself, I guess. I don't know. I find myself getting upset about that, which is it's because it's tied to my experience, of course.
Yeah.
Of certain types of denial.
Yeah.
In my childhood that I experienced.
Yeah, I hate women haters. I hate like controlling men. You know?
Yeah, yes, you do.
I hate that. I hate it. And I hate like people using God to control people, using the Bible. And of course that's linked to my trauma. But yeah, I like that as a question. It'd be funny
if anytime we like say something about trauma, like I put an effect on the voice where it's like really high or something.
That could be fun. Let's play with more sound effects this season.
Farts,
burps. I like the idea of, I hate that I'm talking about ideas, but no, this is like an action thing. I want to interview, it's an Listen, it's an action movie. I have an idea for a really good action movie. No, I like the idea of interviewing couples.
Mhm.
I want to talk to more couples and
Yeah,
just
I would
like
like that.
regular couples, okay? Because I just want to ask them about their relationship. It's not judgy.
Mhm.
It's going to be fun. It's not going to
Yeah.
be
You want it could be fun, like to just try and create questions that are like aimed to get like things that are so specific to
Yeah.
those two people.
Yeah.
Like in their own little
Yeah.
world, you know.
That excites me.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. You know how, couples have their own like little language.
Mhm.
They have their things that they do.
Yeah. Like shorthand.
And I really like that. It's really cool. I mean, you know what it is? It's the culture of the couple. The culture of the couple. And I, of course, with my dad being a sociologist, I really do I gravitate towards that stuff, you know?
I'll have to ask my father, the sociologist.
Yeah, thanks God my dad is sociologist. No, yeah, this is not translating because this is now an inside joke. But you know what?
Hey, just roll.
It's okay.
Just keep
you
going.
know what? It's fine. If people don't get it, it's really actually fine.
Mhm.
What would be your top 3 dream guests if you could have any guest on the pod? Don't say Steph Curry.
Top guess.
You could say Steph Curry if you wanted.
Probably Nathan Fielder.
Oh, okay.
I'm just so curious, like what his interpersonal, like dating, like what happens with him in like dating and romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe he's really normal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
bet he's pretty normal.
You think?
Yeah. I'm sure he's quirky and stuff, but
Mhm.
I think he has to be pretty normal to like make the kinds of like shows that he does.
Probably Cardi B.
Cool. I like her too.
I feel like, it would be hard not to laugh like with her.
I want Justin Bieber and I want Esther Perel.
What would you ask Justin
What
Bieber?
if they came on at the same time?
And they fell in love.
What would I ask them? I just want to ask them like about their day to day.
Yeah.
Like about
ask me. I'm Justin.
Okay. Do you feel hot today? No, ignore that one. Yeah, like okay, what's your dream? Like you're staying in and you're having a date night with Haley.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
What's a dream night?
What's your dream date night with Haley? Staying in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do him. But
Okay. So I want to tell him like how much his music has affected me.
Yeah, you were singing it today.
Yeah, I mean his music is so good. I love his voice. And I just feel like I really grew up with his music, because in high school it was like, baby, baby. That was me in like junior year of high school. And then it's just like he kind of kept growing up and like, he kept putting music out and like I was growing up. It just felt like he and I were kind of growing up together, And I'm not interested in like putting facts on the podcast anymore. Not interested in research really. Just more interested in vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, Justin Bieber. And I actually don't even know his sign, which is crazy.
Water, right?
March 1st. Holy shit. His birthday's
Pisces.
Today.
Whoa.
Holy fuck. This is crazy. I don't even know what to do right now.
Of course he's a Pisces.
I think we have to stop recording right now. Oh my God, he's a Pisces. That's so sweet. So he's 30. So he's actually 3 years younger than me. Yeah, that should make sense because he had like the swoopy hair when I was a junior in high school. So he was like 12 or something. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you love him.
Yeah, I love him.
He just has really been doing his thing for so long.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah, no.
I mean, not like I don't want to talk about him. I just don't really have anything to offer, I don't think.
Yeah, no, we're moving on. I mean, that's really all I have for right now. I guess let's just go over what this podcast is and what it isn't.
Great.
It's not an advice podcast. It's not a comedy podcast. It's not even an informational podcast.
Yeah.
It's just a conversation.
It's a fly on the wall kind of thing.
The fly on the wall. I want to get more couples on here. So if you're just a regular ass couple, or if, we'll take famous couples too, we'll probably have to build up to that. But I just want to talk to regular couples about their relationships, and that would be like so fun.
So you don't want to talk to experts about things?
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to having experts on, but I don't feel excited by that right now.
I hear that.
Because I'm kind of like, it doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah.
In the same way as just like shooting the shit with couples
Mhm.
to try to get inside the culture of their relationship and their
Right.
connection.
Right. That's true. We do like talking about that. And yeah, I get that. It's like, yeah, we're not Esther Perel like here to like, okay, like here's what you need to do to like evolve and grow. We're kind of
Yeah.
like tired of that energy.
Yeah, it's like it's not like Glennon Doyle's podcast, We Can Do Hard Things, which is like I think
Yeah.
that serves like a need, and they're like doing really amazing work.
Mhm.
But I don't think that's what we are.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
they're sort of like, and it's like Glennon, Amanda, and Abby. They're good at what they do. They're
Mhm.
good at podcasting. They're
Mhm.
good at giving reflections. They're good at interviewing people. But they're
Mhm.
also sort of like living in that life of like the pseudo expert where it's like they like kind of like
Mhm.
they do tons and tons and tons and tons of psychoeducation on themselves, like
Right.
like reading all the books, like going to therapy. It's like I do that too, and I love that. But I don't want that to be my whole personality.
Of course.
And I just want to play. I want to play more, and I want to have
Mhm.
fun. And
Yeah.
I've discovered that fun is a value that I have. So
Mhm.
I want to bring that.
But yeah, I like what you're saying, and it vibes with it. Like it definitely goes with certain changes that are happening for me, where I feel like in the past, yeah, I've used a certain like strong point of view about like what people ought to be doing to like heal themselves, and I've realized that there's like certain control issues of mine that are very like married to that ethos or whatever drive. And I'm really trying to like, yeah, just kind of explore acceptance of like letting people be how they are right now and still being able to take them in and like
Yeah.
appreciate them for being like complicated and complex. And
Mhm.
like, just like fucking stop trying to do well at life, you know?
Yeah.
It's like whenever there's literature at the meetings I go to that are about like people telling stories about their own story, their own like period of bottoming out and giving up and surrendering, it just speaks to me so much. Just like, yeah, I just want to like stop trying to push whatever boulder up the hill of my life that I've been
Yeah.
trying for so long.
Yeah.
And like actually like be in my life on my life's terms in
Yeah.
a way, or on life's terms.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Okay.
I think we're done, and happy birthday, Justin.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us. Our music is by Nightlight. We self-produce this podcast, so please subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps.